If you have a need to rapidly deploy domain controllers, or maybe you have a need in your private cloud scenario to be able to scale up and scale out very quickly, or maybe also you want a way to be able to recover a domain controller when there's an issue, you should consider domain controller cloning. Domain controller cloning is actually very easy to do simply because we can use the management through Hyper-V. So if you have hypervisor running, you can clone your domain controllers. The cloning process is actually very easy. In order to clone, you have to have a domain controller that's been added to the clonable domain controllers group. This needs to be done by a domain admin. You will also need to verify that any applications or services that are running on the domain controller, that they're actually compatible with the cloning process. Not all apps and services are. You will then go through and create the dccloneconfig.xml file. This is an XML file that will help to configure your domain controller with its IP address and its name, and other options. Next, you will need to export the VM from the source. So you're going to be in Hyper-V to do this. You will have to stop the domain controller when you export it. Next, you're going to have to import the VM in from the target. I'll show you how that looks in just a moment. Next, my favorite, start the clones. As you can see from this slide, we're going to run a wizard to do our importing. So notice that when you run the wizard from Hyper-V, you have the option here to import the virtual machine. So under Locate Folder, you're going to need to go in and locate the virtual machine configuration file that you made earlier when you did your export. Then you're going to have to select the virtual machine that you'd like to import to. Lastly, you're going to choose that you'd like to copy it. So you're going to copy the virtual machine. This will create the new unique ID, which is very important for a domain controller because we don't want two domain controllers in the same domain with the same ID. So if you'd like to do any cloning of your domain controllers, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need to have Hypervisor 2012 or later running. You're also going to need to have a domain controller that you want to clone as your source. And then you're also going to need to make certain that that domain controller is running on a virtual machine and is a guest on Hyper-V. You will also need to have a PDC emulator running 2012 or later online and running in your environment. Those are going to be just a few things that you need to have available in order to do your cloning of your domain controller.